So we're going to talk about commodities. Who can tell me what a commodity is? Anyone? No one? No one wants to give me an example of a commodity. Oh, so we have one. What's a commodity? No, it's not. Wheelbarrow is not standardized. People say oil, and that's only if it's defined. If you have a certain quantity of sweet Texas crude delivered at a certain time, that's a commodity. Here's the thing. People go, gold, it's a commodity. It's not. People who tell you that don't know what a commodity is. A commodity is 99.99998% pure gold, 1 ounce, weighed and assayed. That is a commodity. There's a difference here. Everyone gets this wrong. They think commodity, it's just the good. It's not. It's the contract. The commodity is a certain amount of something delivered at a certain time with a certain refinement. That's a commodity. When you buy a certain grade of durum wheat, because that's what you produce your different biscuits out of, or your pasta, you don't want something else. You want to know when you deliver your product made with that, it's going to be the same every time. That's a commodity. This guy started talking about how we could specialize. And part of this, in this little pin factory bit, was having individual items that are delivered the same all the time. The same all the time may sound boring. To many people out there who don't do business, it is. But it's really exciting when you're actually in business and you realize every time you get something delivered on time, the same, that's a commodity. Because it allows the things that guy talked about. It allows specialization. It allows people to do single parts of work. So with this, we have this Bitcoin network thing. And we have a nice little network in the middle, and people keep thinking that's the network, and everyone needs to run a node. And I pointed out just the other day, again, the hash header is not the security function by itself. The block doesn't matter. If you have that hash function, and it's been validated by other miners, not node things that don't mine, miners, then you can trust it. Why? Because you get the transaction, you check it's still there, you check it's not spent. You don't need to redo everyone else's transaction, because if the hash function is broken, it's broken for everybody. Hence, simplified payment verification, SPV. I wrote some little paper on it once. So if we look at our network, we need to start building and specializing. We need to start thinking of how we do each part and how we now divide these. And this is why we've still got problems, why people making alternative platforms, exchanges, etc., sit there going, we're having problems with scaling. Well, don't. It's very simple. You're not a fucking miner. Get your fucking head out of your ass and stop. Run SPV. You only need that little 80-byte thingy. It's specialized. Take the transactions, match them, actually do a few checks. You know, show like you've got someone in your organization who has half a brain and can do that. And I'll say that to even the BSV sort of community guys who are sitting there building and going, oh, it's getting a bit big for me to process. Then fucking don't do it. Honestly, stop doing everything. That Smith guy came up with this really good idea that everyone keeps ignoring. Actually, he came up with a few, and it's called specialization. Start doing it. I shouldn't have to do it all for you. I keep saying, I said in Arnhem, bloody compete with me. Okay? I don't want nChain owning every patent in the damn freaking industry. I want you guys to do something. So that means start thinking about this stuff. See these little business bits here? Don't run everything. If you don't need that storage, don't run it. Let someone else do it. Build a business. Don't be communist. It's not good for you. Not good for any of us. Ask all those people who were sort of kulaks and see how well they went. For those who don't know, look it up. Anyway, storing data in data centers is a separate thing. Split it off, charge money, earn. Lovely stuff. So what you should be doing is building it all. We've got this tokenized system now that allows us to connect all these things and charge per connection. Validation. If you're validating, you don't need mining pools. Honestly, the way that we're doing it isn't ideal. If you actually think about this little Merkle tree thingy, that means when you put your transaction in a block that you're processing, say you're the validation guy who wants people to find solutions, well, the person mining can guarantee that their transaction to get a payment is in there. Done. You can set up contracts. Contracts are good things. Bitcoin is based on contracts. It's not based on cryptography. It's based on law. First of all, there is this thing called a unilateral contract, an offer to the world. Some silly guy with a silly name came out there and wrote a white paper and made what is called a unilateral contract, an offer to the world. Then he said, you can't change my protocol. Not, the community gets to vote. No. Here's my opinion on what the community gets to vote on. Don't give a fuck. You don't. Neither do BTC or the 3 people running their GitHub. What you get to do is you get to follow and enforce the rules, and you get to be paid for it. Nice little capitalist system. We have this highly connected core thing here. I believe I said several years ago this small world network thing that everyone looked at me strange and thought I was the Antichrist for actually mentioning it. Before that, and this is an old diagram from actually 13. Before I had sort of troubles with core constantly changing my freaking protocol, like on just about a daily basis, this is what I was trying to build. See those things there? Web apps, accounting apps, banking apps, exchange apps. Guess what they do? They specialize. Guess what this other stuff does? Specializes. So when you see this stuff, it's called, there's this Merkle tree thingy that splits everything. So guess what? If we have 8 transactions, we can double hash them, and then that machine just needs the hashes. This other one can process a transaction and go, done, it's good. And in parallel, another one. And in parallel, another one. And you know what this whole doubling thing in a Merkle tree does? 16, 32, ... more than the universe has atoms, without going deep. Don't need that if you just want 1 meg blocks. Keep pointing that out. So, we started this structure here. And yes, I've got NGINX. I've got all this other stuff that's old now because, and I even mentioned Tomcat, so hiss, boo, I know, it's horrible, whatever. But this is 2013, so get over it. And that's what we were planning on doing. It's updated now, and Steve and team are doing more updated versions, but that's what in 2013 I was trying to do. That is what Bitcoin should be developing into. This is the sort of stuff I want people to think about. I don't want N-Chain to do everything. I know everyone thinks I'm the Dark Lord who's going to take over the universe and build myself a Death Star, but I really don't need a Death Star, okay? I mean, it might be cool, but just the lightsaber. So, okay, we've got this whole infrastructure-y thing, and we have this thing called money. And Bitcoin's not money because government said it's money. It's because people accept it in exchange for goods and services. You know, when you go and buy things. It's a ledger. And this is an important aspect. Immutable ledger doesn't mean you cannot update it. It doesn't mean it can't change. It doesn't mean it can't be frozen. It doesn't mean it can't be seized. So, you're going to discover that this year. Because when I go to court in Florida, win, lose, or indifferent, it's basically game over for everyone who thinks Bitcoin can't be seized. I've made sure of that. And it's going to happen. No one is moving a coin via a key. But I guarantee they're being moved. Who here thinks that they're going to go up against the US government and do that? No? Anyone? I mean, I do that a lot, but... So, we got one person, yay! Good for you! You can join all those other wonderful people. There's some in Guantanamo Bay still. It's a commodity based on use. So, I think I said something about commodities before. I said they're a contract. Courts like contracts. People like contracts. They set something to be delivered. That commodity sets the rules. When I created Bitcoin, I didn't tell you that you can't change the protocol because, oh, it's technically hard. It's fucking not hard at all. A freaking bloody imbecilic bloody person with half a brain after a car crash without a helmet who decided to stop a football right afterwards with their noggin could probably learn how to code the freaking thing to make the change. Whether you want to do it right so that you got all the reporting things and pretty UIs, that's a different issue. The actual ability to put this in place, easy. There are how many repositories that control things in BTC land? 1. You know what happens to an exchange that goes, In Russia, too bad. They need money. No exchanges exist if they don't get banking. None. They don't have servers. They get turned off. I guarantee the first exchange that goes to the American government when they get a court order will basically be gone within 5 minutes. Then they'll be running. Then they'll be having fun dodging people who have, well, money on their heads. Lots of fun. So exchanges are going to do what the frick they're told. You know how this works? They bend over and off it goes. So, next. It's an information system. I've said this many times. Money is information. That's why it's a ledger. That's why it matters when we change the numbers. This is the problem with stagflation and governments deciding to twiddle with values. Why? Because that number matters. It's not anything other than I have a future call on what the goods of the world are. That's it. That's my money. It is an informational asset now that carries across time and goes back in time to look at what I've done. That information is valuable because when I do an hour's work and the market decides that I'm worth whatever per hour, I can now hold that consolidated work in the future and buy something with it a week later. That's information. That's money. All these bullshit things you hear about what money is, store of value, blah, 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 not even realizing best one single thing is a store of value in the US. It's called a US dollar. Because a store of value means the contract you're dealing with, the value stays the same. If it goes up by 100%, it's not a store of value. If it goes down by 1%, it's not a store of value. Store of value doesn't mean it changes, grows, diminishes. It means it's the same. Despite inflation, it's the same. If I have a contract to pay my house at $120, I have $120. A year later, I have $120. Done. That's it. Simple. So, when scaled, Bitcoin grows and it becomes used in a way that opens up all sorts of opportunities globally. It means that we have a system to build with contracts around the world. Now, courts are a good thing in most places, in the West anyway. What Bitcoin does is it creates a new form of institution. It makes global law for the poorest, most oppressed people on the world. It does this not because we're against freaking courts, but because we can take the best of American and British and other courts and apply those rules to someone in Sierra Leone or Argentina or Chile. We can actually have all these things built in. We can choose that we want to have a contract in British law by putting a little thing in there and actually doing it that way. And suddenly, we're protected, even if we're in shithole wherever the fuck. That simple. So, it's an information commodity. Bitcoin can be a security. Proof of stake's always a security. It's a very simple system. You can lie all you want about it. You can con people, but that's going to change. Proof of stake is a commodity. If you distribute everything, you have UTXOs, you build a whole lot of system like proof of work around it, and then, well, isn't that proof of work? Commodity in Bitcoin is because you have something set in value, a set token, a set number. Nothing stopped me from making 42 million and issuing 21 million to me, other than I didn't. Nothing stopped any of that. It's contract, not code. So this is where people go wrong. They tell you it's all cryptographic. Bull fucking shit. There is no cryptography in Bitcoin. Digital signature algorithms are related, but they are not encryption. They don't do confidentiality. They don't do availability. Last I checked, the availability is this ring of highly connected machines. That's not encryption. It's robust for other reasons. The integrity is there because of these things. That's important. So, back to our little boxes. It's a ledger in the base layer, and we should be building on that. We can do distributed computing because we can outsource contracts. We can build tokens that'll do all sorts of things. This is why I put script in there. Not because, oh, I'm not sure what the hell to do with it, because I actually had something to do with it. So that you guys could take my damn invention and do more. So, audit layer. Business end applications. That's what it's meant to be. So, it's very simple. And I'm going to say this. Get the fuck off your asses. Build!
Data is double-edged. Wield it well and build your place in tomorrow. But trust it blindly and risk watching your progress crumble. Because much of the data we rely upon isn't reliable at all. At nChain, we believe in data, but we put no faith in it. Instead, we build tools that enable enterprises to trust the data upon which they rely. nChain, data without question.